edge of the UES horizon, staring at the alien vessel that had suddenly appeared at the edge of the Sol system. She realized that nothing could have prepared them for this moment. "Report," she barked, her eyes never leaving the sleek, silvery craft that seemed to shimmer against the backdrop of stars. Lieutenant Commander Jack Chen's fingers danced across his console. "No signs of aggression, Captain. They're maintaining position just beyond Mars' orbit. Wait, we're receiving a transmission." Alina's heart raced. First contact. The moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries was finally here. "Put it through," she ordered, straightening her uniform. A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything Alina had ever seen. Its body was serpentine, covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors as it moved. Multiple appendages sprouted from its torso, each ending in delicate, multi-jointed fingers. But it was the eyes that captivated Alina. 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, glowing with an intelligence that felt ancient and profound. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious trill that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "We are the Zarquin, travelers from the far reaches of the galaxy. We come in peace, seeking allies in a time of great peril." Alina found her voice, years of diplomatic training kicking in. "Welcome to our solar system, honored visitors. I am Captain Alina Reyes of the United Earth Space Force. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn more about you and the dangers you face." The Zarquin emissary, who introduced itself as Xylith, explained their situation. A ruthless empire known as the Draknar Dominion was expanding across the galaxy, conquering or destroying any civilizations in their path. The Zarquin had barely escaped their home system, searching for allies with the potential to help turn the tide. "But why us?" Alina asked, her brow furrowed. "Surely there are more advanced civilizations out there." Xylith's eyes pulsed with a soft blue light. "We have observed your species for some time, Captain. Your tenacity, your adaptability, your capacity for both great destruction and profound compassion. These qualities make you unique. We believe that with our technology and your innovative spirit, we may stand a chance against the Draknar." Over the next few weeks, as Earth's governments debated and negotiated, Alina and her crew acted as liaisons to the Zarquin. They learned of wonders beyond imagination. Faster than light travel, energy shields, gravity manipulation, but also of horrors that chilled them to the bone. The Draknar were a hive mind species, consuming entire planets to fuel their endless expansion. Finally, after tense deliberations, a decision was reached. Humanity would stand with the Zarquin, pooling their resources and knowledge to face the coming storm. As the alliance was formalized, Alina couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They were about to leap into a galactic conflict that had been raging for millennia. The next year was a whirlwind of technological exchange and military preparations. Zarquin engineers worked alongside human scientists, upgrading Earth's defenses and retrofitting their ships with advanced weaponry. Alina watched in awe as her beloved horizon was transformed into a formidable warship, its hull reinforced with alien alloys and its weapon systems now capable of punching holes through space-time itself. But it wasn't just military might that the Zarquin brought. Their medical knowledge revolutionized human healthcare overnight, curing diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Their sustainable energy technologies promised an end to pollution and resource scarcity. In return, humans shared their art, their music, their literature, cultural treasures that the Zarquin found endlessly fascinating. As the threat of the Draknar loomed ever closer, Alina found herself forming an unlikely friendship with Xylith. Despite their vastly different physiologies and backgrounds, they discovered a shared love of exploration and a deep-seated desire to protect the innocent. "Your species continues to surprise us," Xylith remarked one evening as they stood in the horizon's observation deck, watching Earth grow smaller as they prepared to join the Zarquin fleet. "Many races we've encountered would have turned us away, fearing to involve themselves in a war not of their making. But you embraced the challenge. Elena smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. It's who we are, Xylith. Humanity has always been driven to push boundaries, to stand up for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. And now, knowing what's out there, how could we possibly stay on the sidelines? Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Earth. Long-range sensors had detected a massive energy surge at the edge of the solar system. The Draknar had arrived sooner than anyone had anticipated. As alarms blared throughout the ship, Elena's voice rang out clear and determined. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every free species in the galaxy. The Horizon's engines roared to life, propelling them towards the gathering Zarquin fleet. As they approached, Elena's breath caught in her throat. Hundreds of alien ships, each unique in design, had assembled to make their stand. It was a testament to the alliance they had forged, a united front against the encroaching darkness. Xylith's voice crackled over the comms. Captain Rice, we've detected a Draknar scout ship attempting to slip past our defenses. They must not be allowed to report our preparations back to their main fleet. Understood, Elena replied, her mind already formulating a plan. Horizon will intercept. All crews, prepare for combat maneuvers. As they closed in on the Draknar vessel, Elena felt a strange calm settle over her. This was it, humanity's first true test on the galactic stage. The fate of Earth, of the Zarquin, of countless other species hung in the balance. Failure was not an option. Weapons hot, she commanded, her voice steady. Let's show these Draknar what happens when they threaten our friends. The Horizon's newly upgraded weapons systems hummed with power, ready to unleash devastation upon their foes. As the Draknar ship came into view, its biomechanical form twisted and grotesque, Elena uttered the words that would echo across the stars. Fire at will. The galactic threat emerges. The battle against the Draknar scout ship was brief but intense. The Horizon's advanced weaponry, melded with Zarquin technology, proved devastatingly effective. As the enemy vessel exploded in a spectacular burst of energy, cheers erupted across the bridge. But Elena knew this was only the beginning. Excellent work, everyone, she said, her voice cutting through the celebration. But stay sharp. That was just the vanguard. The real fight is yet to come. As if summoned by her words, the main sensor array lit up like a Christmas tree. Hundreds, then thousands of Draknar ships began pouring through a massive wormhole at the edge of the solar system. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A vast armada of biomechanical horrors, each ship a nightmarish fusion of flesh and metal. Xylith's voice crackled over the comms, tinged with a mix of fear and determination. Captain Rice, we've never seen a Draknar force this large. They must have dedicated a significant portion of their fleet to this assault. Elena's mind raced, analyzing the tactical situation. The combined human Zarquin fleet was impressive, but they were vastly outnumbered. They needed a plan, and fast. Xylith, what can you tell me about Draknar tactics? She asked, her eyes never leaving the holographic display of the approaching enemy. The aliens' response was grim. They operate like a hive mind, coordinating their attacks with terrifying efficiency. But their hunger for conquest often leads them to underestimate new opponents. They've never faced humans before. That could be our advantage. A plan began to form in Elena's mind. It was risky, borderline insane, but it just might work. Listen up, she called out, her voice carrying across the bridge and through the fleet-wide communication channels. We're going to use their arrogance against them. Here's what we're going to do. The plan was audacious. While the bulk of the Allied fleet engaged the Draknar in a massive frontal assault, a small elite team would slip behind enemy lines. Their target, the Draknar command ship, a massive structure at the heart of the enemy fleet that coordinated their hive mind tactics. Elena handpicked her team. Jack Chen, her brilliant tactical officer, Dr. Amelia Zhao, a xenobiologist who had been studying Draknar physiology, and a squad of Earth's most elite Special Forces operatives. Sylith insisted on joining as well, arguing that its knowledge of Draknar weaknesses would be crucial. As they prepared to embark on their perilous mission, Alina addressed the combined fleet one last time. Today, we face an enemy that threatens not just our worlds, but the very concept of freedom throughout the galaxy. But remember this, the Draknar have never encountered humanity before. They don't know our history, our tenacity, our unwillingness to back down from a fight. Let's show them exactly what they're dealing with. The response was thunderous, a cacophony of human cheers and alien battle cries that seemed to shake the very fabric of space. As the main fleet engaged the Draknar in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry and tactical maneuvers, Alina's strike team slipped away in a specially modified stealth ship. Their approach to the Draknar command vessel was harrowing. Massive energy beams and exotic weaponry crisscrossed the void, narrowly missing their cloaked ship time and time again. Alina's palms were slick with sweat as she piloted the craft, relying on every ounce of skill and the advanced Zarquin sensors to avoid detection. Finally, they'd reached their target. The Draknar command ship was a monstrous thing, easily the size of a small moon. Its surface writhed with organic tendrils and pulsed with sickly green energy. How the hell are we supposed to get inside that thing? Jack muttered, his face pale as he stared at the abomination before them. Xylith's multifaceted eyes glowed with determination. There, it said, pointing a delicate appendage at a section of the ship's hull. That's a neural cluster, similar to a nervous system. If we can breach it, we should be able to access the ship's interior. Alina nodded, setting the ship down on the command ship's hull with a gentle thud. As they donned their advanced spacesuits, a fusion of human ingenuity and Zarquin technology, she turned to her team. Remember, our goal is to disrupt their command and control capabilities. We get in, plant the device, and get out. Any questions? The team's resolve was clear in their eyes. They were ready. As they stepped onto the surface of the Draknar ship, Alina felt a wave of revulsion wash over her. The hull pulsed beneath their feet, as if alive. Which, she realized with a start, it probably was. Dr. Zhao approached the neural cluster Sylith had identified, her suit's sensors feeding her a constant stream of data. Fascinating, she murmured. The biology here is like nothing I've ever seen. It's as if the entire ship is one massive organism. Can you get us in? Alina asked, acutely aware of the battle raging around them. Zhao nodded, producing a device that looked like a cross between a medical scalpel and a plasma torch. This should do the trick. But be ready. The ship will almost certainly detect the intrusion. As Zhao carefully cut into the neural cluster, the ship shuddered beneath them. Alarm klaxons began to wail, a sound so alien and discordant that it set Alina's teeth on edge. "Move," she shouted, ushering her team through the opening as soon as it was wide enough. They found themselves in a nightmarish landscape of pulsing organic matter and twisted metal. The air was thick and humid, filled with a sickly sweet odor that their suit filters barely managed to neutralize. Sylith's voice was tense as it guided them through the ship's interior. The central neural hub should be this way. It's where they coordinate all fleet activities. As they moved deeper into the command ship, they encountered resistance. Draknar drones, mindless bioengineered soldiers, swarmed towards them from every direction. The team fought with everything they had, their advanced weapons proving effective against the organic monstrosities. Finally, they reached the central hub. It was a massive chamber, dominated by a pulsating orb of neural tissue suspended in a column of crackling energy. Tendrils snaked out from the orb, connecting to various consoles and interfaces around the room. "That's it," Sylith said, its voice filled with a mix of awe and revulsion. The collective consciousness of the entire Draknar fleet. Alina steeled herself. "All right, let's end this. Plant the device, and let's get the hell out of here." As Dr. Zhao carefully approached the neural orb with their disruptive device, a sophisticated piece of technology that would scramble the Draknar's hive-mind communication, a new presence entered the chamber. It was a Draknar commander, a being of terrifying intelligence and power. Its voice, when it spoke, was like nails on a chalkboard in their minds. "Foolish creatures," it hissed. "Did you really think you could challenge the might of the Draknar Dominion? Your pitiful alliance will crumble, and your worlds will feed our endless hunger." Elena stepped forward, her weapon raised. "You clearly don't know much about humans," she said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "We don't take kindly to bullies, especially ones that threaten our friends." The Draknar commander lunged forward with inhuman speed, but Elena was ready. Her training, combined with the enhancements of her advanced suit, allowed her to dodge the attack. The chamber erupted into chaos as the rest of the team engaged the commander and its swarm of drones. In the midst of the fray, Dr. Zhao saw her opening. With a burst of speed, she rushed to the neural orb and planted the disruptive device. "It's done," she shouted. "We need to get out of here, now." As they fought their way back to their ship, the entire command vessel began to convulse. The disruptive device was working, sending waves of conflicting information through the Draknar hive mind. They reached their ship just as the command vessel's systems began to fail catastrophically. As they sped away, Elena watched in awe as the massive structure began to break apart, taking a significant portion of the Draknar fleet with it. Back on the horizon, Elena and her team were greeted as heroes. The destruction of the Draknar command ship had thrown their entire fleet into disarray, allowing the Allied forces to turn the tide of battle. As the last of the Draknar ships were either destroyed or forced into retreat, Elena stood on the bridge of the horizon, Stylith at her side. They watched as the combined fleet of humans and Zarquin, battered but unbroken, floated triumphantly against the backdrop of Earth. "We did it," Elena breathed, barely able to believe it herself. Stylith's eyes glowed with warmth. "Indeed, Captain Reyes, but I fear this is only the beginning. The Draknar will return, and next time." Humanity's bold defense. The victory against the Draknar's initial assault was cause for celebration throughout Earth and among the Zarquin fleet. However, as Captain Elena Reyes stood in the war room of the newly established Terran-Zarquin Joint Command Center, she knew the real work was just beginning. "The Draknar will be back," she stated, her eyes scanning the holographic display of known galaxy sectors. "And next time, they'll be prepared for us." Around the table stood an assemblage of Earth's top military minds and Zarquin strategists. Among them was Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka, a veteran of Earth's pre-contact conflicts, and Zilvax, the Zarquin's most experienced fleet commander. Admiral Tanaka nodded grimly. "Agreed. Our victory, while significant, was largely due to the element of surprise. We can't count on that again." Zilvax's crystalline body shimmered as it spoke, its thoughts translated instantly by the advanced communication systems. "Our long-range sensors have detected increased Draknar activity in several neighboring sectors. They're regrouping, possibly preparing for a larger assault." Elena leaned forward, her mind racing with possibilities. "Then we need to be ready. Not just to defend, but to take the fight to them." Her bold statement was met with a mix of surprise and approval. It was this kind of thinking that had led to their initial victory, after all. "What do you propose, Captain?" Admiral Tanaka asked. His interest piqued. Elena activated a series of holographic displays, showing schematics of both human and Zarquin ships. "We combine our strengths, human adaptability and tactical thinking, with Zarquin technology. We create a fleet unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen." Over the next few months, the Alliance worked tirelessly to implement Elena's vision. Earth's shipyards, now augmented with Zarquin technology, produced vessels that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. The UEA's Horizon, already a formidable warship, underwent further upgrades, becoming the prototype for a new class of hybrid vessels. But it wasn't just military preparations that occupied the alliance. Scientists from both species collaborated on breakthrough technologies, pushing the boundaries of physics and biology. Dr. Amelia Zhao, working closely with Zaraquin geneticists, made significant strides in understanding Draknar biology, potentially uncovering weaknesses that could be exploited. As the threat of another Draknar invasion loomed, humanity faced its own internal challenges. Not everyone on Earth was comfortable with the rapid changes brought by the Alliance. Protests erupted in several major cities, with some fearing that humanity was losing its identity in the face of alien influence. Elena found herself thrust into the role of not just a military leader, but a diplomat and public figure. She addressed the United Nations, her words broadcast across the globe. "I understand your fears. The universe we've discovered is vast, filled with wonders and terrors beyond our wildest imaginations. But remember this, in the face of that vastness, the Zaraquin chose us. They saw in humanity a spark, a potential that they believed could turn the tide against an enemy that threatens not just our world, but countless others. We have a chance not just to save ourselves, but to be part of something greater, to stand against tyranny and oppression on a galactic scale. This is humanity's moment to show the universe what we're truly capable of." Her words had an impact, rallying much of the population behind the war effort. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, eager to join the newly formed Terran Space Force. 6 months after their initial victory, the Alliance's new fleet was ready for its first major operation. Intelligence gathered by Zaraquin scouts had located a significant Draknar staging area in a nearby star system. It was time to take the fight to the enemy. Elena stood on the bridge of the horizon, marveling at the sight before her. A fleet of over 1,000 ships, a perfect blend of human and Zaraquin design, assembled in high Earth orbit. Each vessel represented the best of both species, human ingenuity and adaptability combined with Zaraquin advanced technology. "All ships report ready, Captain," Lieutenant Commander Chen announced, his voice filled with barely contained excitement. Elena nodded, a fierce determination in her eyes. "Send the signal. Operation Forge Hammer is a go." As one, the massive fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives, tearing holes in the fabric of space-time. The journey to the target system took mere hours, a testament to the incredible advancements they had made. They dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the system, immediately deploying an attack formation. The Draknar, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of such a massive force, scrambled to mount a defense. "All ships, engage at will," Elena commanded. "Remember your training and watch each other's backs. Today, we show the Draknar that the galaxy will no longer cower before them." The battle that ensued was unlike anything in human history. Advanced energy weapons lit up the void, while swarms of fighter craft engaged in dogfights that defied conventional physics. The Horizon, at the heart of the assault, coordinated the attack with ruthless efficiency. Elena watched as human pilots, their reflexes enhanced by Zaraquin neural interfaces, pulled off maneuvers that would have been impossible just months ago. Zaraquin weapons officers, guided by human tactical insights, unleashed devastation upon the Draknar fleet with pinpoint accuracy. But the Draknar were not to be underestimated. As the battle raged on, they began to adapt, their hive mind analyzing and countering the Alliance's tactics in real time. "They're learning," Silith observed, its eyes pulsing with concern. "We need to end this quickly, before they can fully adapt to our strategies." Helena nodded, her mind racing. "Agreed. It's time for Phase 2. All ships, initiate Protocol Sunburst." At her command, a subset of the fleet broke off from the main battle. These ships, equipped with specially designed energy projectors, took up positions around the system's sun. In a coordinated action, they fired their weapons directly into the star's coronosphere. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The star's output increased exponentially, bathing the system in a flood of radiation and electromagnetic energy. While the Alliance ships were shielded against this onslaught, The Draknar vessels, with their partially organic construction, were devastated. As the Draknar fleet faltered under this unexpected assault, Alina pressed the advantage. All ships concentrate fire on their command vessels. Don't let up. The next hour was a blur of tactical decisions and coordinated strikes. Slowly but surely, the tide of battle turned decisively in the Alliance's favor. Draknar ships, their hive-mind coordination disrupted by the loss of key command vessels, began to break formation and retreat. As the last enemy ships fled the system, a cheer went up across the Allied fleet. They had done it, dealt a significant blow to the Draknar war machine, and proven that their combined might was a force to be reckoned with. Back on the Horizons Bridge, Alina allowed herself a moment of relief, but as she looked out at the aftermath of the battle, debris fields where once mighty ships had been reduced to scattered atoms, she knew this was far from over. "Well done, everyone," she said, her voice carrying across the fleet-wide comms. "But stay alert. This victory will not go unanswered. The Draknar will be back, and they'll be out for blood." As the fleet began the process of securing the system and salvaging what they could from the wreckage, Alina retreated to her quarters. She needed time to process what they had accomplished and to prepare for what was to come. A knock at her door roused her from her thoughts. It was Stylith, its eyes glowing with a mix of emotions Alina was still learning to interpret. "Captain Reyes," it said, its mental voice tinged with respect and something akin to awe. "I wanted to express my gratitude. What you and your people have accomplished, it gives hope to countless species across the galaxy." Alina smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "We're just getting started, Xylith. The Draknar are wounded, but not defeated, and I have a feeling their response to this defeat will be terrible to behold." As if summoned by her words, an urgent communication came through. It was Admiral Tanaka, his face grim. "Captain, we've just received word from our long-range scouts. The Draknar. They're massing a fleet unlike anything we've ever seen. They're calling in forces from across their empire." Alina's blood ran cold, but her voice remained steady. "How long do we have?" "Best estimates. 3 months, maybe 4. She nodded, her mind already formulating plans. "Then we have work to do. Gather the War Council. It's time to prepare for the fight of our lives." As she ended the communication, Alina turned to Xylith. The alien's eyes met hers, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. The next battle would determine not just the fate of Earth or the Zaraquin, but the future of the entire galaxy. "Ready for round 2?" Alina asked, a fierce grin spreading across her face. Xylith's body shimmered with determination. "Always, Captain. The Draknar will learn that in threatening our allies, they have made a grave mistake." Together, they headed to the war room, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store for them. The battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin in earnest. Turning the tide. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of activity as the Terran-Zarquin alliance prepared for what they knew would be the fight of their lives. Earth became a hub of feverish preparation, its orbit bustling with the construction of new warships and defensive platforms. Captain Alina Reyes found herself at the center of it all, coordinating efforts between human and Zarquin forces, overseeing the implementation of new technologies, and helping to formulate the strategies that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but countless worlds across the galaxy. One crisp morning, as Alina stood in the newly constructed Orbital Command Center, she received an unexpected visitor. Dr. Amelia Zhao, her eyes bright with excitement, burst into the room. "Captain, we've had a breakthrough," the xenobiologist exclaimed, barely containing her enthusiasm. Alina raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What kind of breakthrough, Doctor?" Dr. Zhao activated a holographic display, showing complex molecular structures. "We've been studying the Draknar biology, trying to understand how their hive mind functions, and we think we've found a way to disrupt it on a massive scale." As Dr. Zhao explained the intricacies of their discovery, Alina felt a glimmer of hope. If this worked, it could change everything. How soon can we weaponize this? Alina asked, her mind already racing with tactical possibilities. Dr. Zhao's expression turned serious. That's the catch. We need a sizable sample of active Draknar neural tissue to synthesize the disruptor. And by sizable, I mean we need to capture a live Draknar. Alina finished, understanding the immensity of the task. The next week was spent in intense planning sessions. The War Council debated various strategies, but in the end, it came down to a daring raid. A small, elite team would need to infiltrate Draknar-controlled space, capture a high-ranking Draknar officer, and bring it back alive. Alina, of course, volunteered to lead the mission herself. Absolutely not. Admiral Tanaka protested. You're too valuable to risk on such a dangerous operation. But Alina stood her ground. With all due respect, Admiral, I'm the most qualified person for this job. I've been inside a Draknar ship before. I understand their tactics, and I have a personal rapport with our Zarquin allies. This mission is too important to entrust to anyone else. In the end, her argument won out. Alina assembled her team. Jack Chen for tactical support, Dr. Zhao for her scientific expertise, a squad of Earth's most elite special forces, and a contingent of Zarquin warriors led by Xylith. The mission was set to launch a week before the expected arrival of the main Draknar fleet. As Alina boarded the specially modified stealth ship, christened the Shadow Dancer, she felt the weight of billions of lives resting on her shoulders. Remember, she addressed her team. Speed and stealth are our allies. We get in, we grab our target, and we get out. The fate of the galaxy rests on this mission. Failure is not an option. The journey to their target, a Draknar outpost on the fringes of their territory, was tense. The Shadow Dancer's advanced cloaking technology, a fusion of human ingenuity and Zarquin science, kept them hidden from Draknar sensors. But Alina knew that one wrong move could spell disaster. As they approached the outpost, a massive structure that pulsed with sickly bioluminescence, Alina felt a chill run down her spine. The Draknar's alien nature never failed to unsettle her. "All right, let's do this," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The insertion went smoother than they could have hoped. Using Zarquin phase shift technology, they bypassed the outpost's outer defenses entirely, materializing directly inside the command center. The fight that ensued was brutal but brief. The human Zarquin team moved with practiced efficiency, neutralizing the Draknar drones before they could raise the alarm. At the heart of the command center, they'd found their prize. A Draknar subcommander, its massive, writhing form a nightmarish sight to behold. "Now, Dr. Zhao," Alina shouted as they cornered the creature. The xenobiologist fired a specially designed stasis field, enveloping the Draknar in a bubble of energy that paralyzed it instantly. "Package secured," Alina reported, her breath coming in short gasps. "Let's move." But as they fought their way back to the Shadow Dancer, alarms began to blare throughout the outpost. The Draknar had detected the intrusion and were mounting a response. "We've got incoming," Jack shouted, his eyes glued to the tactical display. "Lots of incoming." Alina gritted her teeth. "Full power to engines and shields. We're punching our way out." The Shadow Dancer erupted from the outpost, immediately swarmed by Draknar fighter craft. What followed was a harrowing chase through an asteroid field, with Alina pushing the ship and her piloting skills to their absolute limits. Just when it seemed they might make a clean getaway, a massive energy beam lanced out from the outpost, catching the Shadow Dancer's aft section. "We're hit," Jack yelled over the sound of screeching metal. "FTL drive is offline." Alina's mind raced. They were too far from Allied space to call for help, and without their FTL drive, they were sitting ducks. But as she looked at the stasis pod containing their Draknar prisoner, an idea formed. "Xylith," she called out, "your people's phase shift technology. Can it be adapted to work on a larger scale?" The The Zarquin's eyes pulsed with understanding. It's never been attempted, but in theory. Theory will have to do. Alina cut in. Work with Dr. Zhao. Use whatever you need from the ship. We just need one big jump. As Draknar reinforcements closed in, Sylith and Dr. Zhao worked feverishly to modify the ship's systems. Alina and the rest of the team fought a desperate holding action, using every trick and tactic they could think of to keep the enemy at bay. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sylith announced, "It's ready, but we only have enough power for one jump, and I cannot guarantee where we will end up." Alina nodded grimly. "Anywhere is better than here. Do it." The sensation was indescribable. For a moment, it felt as if the entire ship, and everyone in it, had been turned inside out. When reality reasserted itself, Alina found herself staring at a familiar sight through the view screen. That's Earth," Jack said, his voice filled with disbelief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had captured a high-ranking Draknar and made it back to home territory. As they were swarmed by Allied ships, Alina allowed herself a moment of relief, but she knew the real challenge was yet to come. They had their prisoner, but now they had to turn that into a weapon that could save the galaxy. With the Draknar Armada less than a week, a new era for the galaxy. With the captured Draknar subcommander secured in a heavily guarded research facility, Dr. Amelia Zhao and her team worked around the clock to develop the promised hive mind disruptor. The pressure was immense. Long-range sensors had detected the massive Draknar Armada approaching, now less than a week away from reaching Earth. Captain Alina Reyes split her time between overseeing the final preparations for Earth's defense and conferring with Dr. Zhao on the progress of the disruptor project. The bags under her eyes spoke of sleepless nights and constant worry, but her determination never wavered. "How close are we?" Alina asked, studying the holographic models of Draknar neural pathways floating above Dr. Zhao's workstation. The xenobiologist's face was a mixture of excitement and frustration. "We're close, so close. The disruptor works in simulations, but scaling it up to affect an entire fleet, it's presenting challenges we didn't anticipate." Alina nodded, understanding the enormity of the task. "Keep at it, Doctor. Your work might be our only shot at ending this war without catastrophic losses." As she left the lab, Alina's comm unit chimed. It was Admiral Tanaka. "Captain, we need you in the war room immediately. Our long-range scouts have new intel on the Draknar fleet." When Alina arrived, she found the war room buzzing with tense activity. Admiral Tanaka and Zilvax were huddled around a holographic display of the approaching Draknar Armada. "What am I looking at?" Alina asked, studying the complex network of energy signatures surrounding the enemy fleet. Zilvax's crystalline form shimmered with concern. "They've adapted their shields. Our simulations suggest that our current weapons will be far less effective against them." Alina felt a cold knot form in her stomach. They had been counting on the technological edge they'd gained in the past months. If the Draknar had already countered it, "We need options," she said, her mind racing. "What about the solar flare tactic we used in the last battle?" Admiral Tanaka shook his head. "They'll be expecting that. And besides, we can't risk that level of stellar manipulation so close to Earth." For hours, they debated strategies and tactics, running simulation after simulation. But every scenario ended the same way, with Earth overwhelmed and the Alliance in tatters. As the meeting adjourned, Alina felt the weight of impending doom settling over her. She wandered to the Orbital Command Center's observation deck, staring out at the vast starfield. Somewhere out there, an armada of nightmares was heading their way, intent on consuming everything she had ever known or loved. "Heavy thoughts, Captain." Alina turned to see Sylith approaching, its eyes pulsing with a soft, comforting light. "Just wondering if we've done enough," Alina admitted. "If I've done enough." Sylith's mental voice was gentle. "In all our travels, we Zarquin have never encountered a species quite like humanity. Your adaptability, your creativity in the face of overwhelming odds, it's unlike anything we've seen. If any race can find a way to overcome this threat, it's yours." Elena smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. "Thank you, Xylith. You're right, we're not beaten yet. Not by a long shot." Inspired by Xylith's words, Elena returned to the war room with fresh determination. She gathered the top minds from both human and Zarquin forces, along with Dr. Zhao and her research team. "All right," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "We've been looking at this all wrong. We've been trying to match the Draknar's strength head-on. But that's not how humanity won its greatest victories. We win by thinking outside the box, by finding solutions where others see only problems." For the next 2 days, they worked tirelessly, bouncing ideas off each other and exploring avenues that would have seemed insane just months ago. They delved into theoretical physics, pushed the boundaries of their combined technologies, and even explored concepts that bordered on the mystical. Finally, as the Draknar fleet entered the outer reaches of the solar system, they had a plan. It was risky, borderline insane, but it just might work. The combined Terran-Zarquin fleet took up defensive positions around Earth, a last line of defense should their gambit fail. At its heart was the Horizon, now equipped with a device that represented the pinnacle of their combined scientific knowledge. A quantum entanglement amplifier that, in theory, could broadcast Dr. Zhao's hive mind disruptor across vast distances. As the Draknar armada approached, its vast numbers blotting out the stars, Elena stood on the Horizon's bridge, Stylif at her side. "All ships, report in," she commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. One by one, the captains of the Allied fleet sounded off. Humans, Zarquin, and even representatives from other alien races that had joined their cause, all united in this last, desperate stand. "This is it," Elena said, her words broadcast across the entire fleet. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. Whatever happens next, know that it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve alongside each and every one of you. Today, we fight not just for Earth, not just for the Zarquin, but for every free species in the galaxy." A chorus of cheers erupted across the comms. As the Draknar fleet came into weapons range, Elena gave the order they had all been waiting for: initiate Operation Mindstorm. The Horizon's quantum entanglement amplifier hummed to life, drawing enormous amounts of power. On cue, the rest of the Allied fleet began broadcasting a carefully coordinated series of tachyon pulses, creating a web of quantum interference that enveloped the entire battlefield. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The Draknar fleet continued its inexorable advance, weapons charging. Then suddenly, the enemy ships began to falter. Draknar vessels veered off course, colliding with each other. Some simply went dark, drifting lifelessly in space. "It's working," Dr. Zhao exclaimed, her eyes wide as she monitored the incoming data. "The disruptor is cascading through their entire neural network." Elena allowed herself a moment of hope, but she knew better than to celebrate too soon. All ships pressed the advantage. Concentrate fire on their command vessels. What followed was a battle unlike any in the history of the galaxy. The Allied fleet moved with perfect coordination, exploiting every weakness in the now fragmented Draknar armada. Elena directed the fight with a mixture of tactical brilliance and intuitive decision-making that would be studied in war colleges for generations to come. Hours passed in a blur of strategic maneuvers and intense combat. Slowly but surely, the tide of battle turned. Draknar ships, cut off from their hive mind, fell one by one to the combined might of the Alliance. Finally, as the last Draknar dreadnought exploded in a spectacular burst of energy, a deafening cheer erupted across the Allied fleet. They had done it. Against all odds, they had defeated the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. In the aftermath of the battle, as the Allied fleet began the process of cleanup and recovery, Elena stood on the Horizon's observation deck, looking out at Earth. The planet seemed more beautiful than ever, a blue jewel suspended in the vastness of space. Tyleth joined her, its crystalline form reflecting the starlight. "It's over," the alien said, its mental voice filled with a mixture of relief and awe. "You did it, Captain. You saved not just your world, but countless others." Elena shook her head, a tired smile on her face. "We did it, Tyleth. All of us together. That's a lesson I hope the galaxy never forgets." In the months and years that followed, the ripple effects of the Draknar's defeat were felt across the galaxy. With their greatest threat vanquished, countless alien species reached out to the Terran-Zarquin alliance, eager to join this new galactic community. Earth found itself at the center of a new era of exploration, diplomacy, and technological exchange. The combined knowledge and resources of dozens of species led to advancements that would have seemed like magic just a few years earlier, of how an unlikely alliance between humans and Zarquin had changed the course of galactic history. But perhaps the most profound change was in humanity itself. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that they had played a pivotal role in safeguarding it, sparked a cultural and philosophical renaissance. Art, literature, and scientific inquiry flourished as humanity grappled with its new place in the cosmic order. 5 years after the final battle, Elena stood on the bridge of a new ship, the UES Unity, the first of a class of vessels designed for long-range exploration. As she prepared to embark on a mission to chart unknown regions of the galaxy, she reflected on how far they had come. Tyleth, now a permanent liaison to Earth, and one of Elena's closest friends, stood beside her. "Are you ready for a new adventure, Captain?" the alien asked, its eyes glowing with excitement. Elena smiled, feeling the familiar thrill of the unknown. "Always," she replied. "There's a whole universe out there, just waiting to be discovered. And this time, we're going as friends, not warriors." As the Unity's engines hummed to life, preparing to leap into the vast unknown, Elena gave the order that would launch a new chapter in galactic history. "Take us out." The stars stretched into lines of light as the ship jumped to FTL, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of Earth and its many alien allies. The Draknar War had shown the galaxy the worst of what intelligent life could do. Now, it was time to show it the best. The adventure was just beginning.